Despite mostly ignoring the show's mythology and canon, Rick and Morty Season 7, Episode 6 does introduce a new villain following the death of the previous one in the post-credit sequence. The television series Rick and Morty began as a chaotic, hilarious satire of sci-fi movies and family sitcoms, but it quickly evolved into something darker and more intricate. By the conclusion of Rick and Morty Season 5, the show featured intricate lore, a tragic past for Rick, and its own legitimately terrifying adversaries in the form of evil Morty and Rick Prime. Nonetheless, the seventh season of Rick and Morty has tempered its darker episodes with absurd narratives that serve as absurd standalone adventures. For instance, the show Shaking Unmortricken, the fifth episode of Rick and Morty Season 7, featured Rick and Morty collaborating with evil Morty to finally destroy Rick Prime. Rick uses his bare hands to defeat his opponent in a brutal combat, but afterward he feels empty and numb. In spite of this grim turn of events, Rick and Morty's seventh episode, Rick Fending Your Mort, is a wild clip show-style outing in which Rick verifies Morty's accounts of the two's travels. However, in the process, the two unintentionally kill the omniscient observer who is helping them with their audit. The post-credits scene of Rick and Morty Season 7, Episode 6 teases a new nemesis to be used in future mishaps, leaving viewers still reeling from the villain revelations of the previous episode. The plot of Unmortricken is even parodied in one Rick Fending Your Mort segment. Rick comes to life as Morty's churro in a single brief scene. Rick and Morty discuss the morality of eating extraterrestrials in Season 7, Episode 4, but in this particular scene, Morty asks Rick to give his snack sentience simply for kicks. Before deciding that he no longer wants the food to be alive, Morty first enjoys spending time with his churro. Rick tells Morty, much to his dismay, that he cannot reverse the churro's self-awareness. As a result, Rick and Morty leave the delicious dessert behind on a far-off, barren planet, which prompts Morty's churro to swear ferocious revenge on him. The joke is back in Rick and Morty Season 7, Episode 6's post-credits stinger. Thus, the churro will probably reappear following this appearance. After Rick Prime was eliminated by Rick and Morty, this churro may even turn into a big recurring antagonist in the show. Considering that both characters were betrayed by a version of the show's protagonists and vowed to not stop until they ultimately exacted revenge on their former comrade, their origin stories aren't all that dissimilar from evil Morty's. Although the talking churro is an obviously absurd figure, his birth tale is similar to that of evil Morty and Rick's conflict with Rick Prime. This made it possible for Rick and Morty to parody its heavier episodes, just a week after the program's most depressing episode ever. Even while the churros vow to find Morty is humorous, it's not all that dissimilar from Rick's C-100 and 37 dedicating years to finding Rick Prime or Slow Mobius's widow, given that they both took the same route in the most heartbreaking post-credit sequence from Rick and Morty Season 7. As a result, this joke enables Rick and Morty Season 7 to both introduce a new possible nemesis for the series and lampoon its current enemies.